coming up on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Ronaldo, Chelsea, and we're going to see how far we think England will get in the World Cup, plus all the usual features, so let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of View from the Sideline podcast. It's Chris here and Liam is here as well. Hello Liam.
Hi Chris, how you doing?
Not too bad. Counting down the days now until I might actually see a team that I support win a game of football. Because it's the last time I actually seen Chelsea win a game in the Premier League was the 16th of October when we beat Villa. So, yeah. Less said about that the better. But we are going to talk about Chelsea today. We are also going to talk about, I guess it's kind of news that's happened sort of in the last 24 hours with Ronaldo's upcoming interview with Piers Morgan. Very strange and out of the blue. We were supposed to be talking about Arsenal today, but with the Ronaldo story, we've had to bin it off for a little while until the next episode. So we will do Arsenal next time. But yeah, so we'll start with the news that came out yesterday that Ronaldo is going to be doing, I guess, spill the beans, I guess, sort of episode of Piers Morgan.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the actual episode, I think it's in two parts as well. I think it's out on Wednesday or Thursday, I think, this week. So, but I think everyone's seen sort of the clips of what's going to be said, basically. And obviously, from his point of view, it seems like almost that he feels let down by the club, and he's not very fond of the manager. But I guess, you know, when we see the whole interview, I guess more will come to light of what's actually been happening. But I guess the question is, why would you do this?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd like to know if United knew that this was happening and they agreed to it, because I'd be very surprised.
I very doubt that anyone at the club was aware that he was doing this, because I'm not sure when, because Piers Morgan was on TalkSport this morning, and he wouldn't give the date of when the interview was actually made, so I'm not sure. It could be about a month old for all we know.
Yeah,
and I guess we'll actually never know. But obviously, with, I suppose, in Manchester United eyes and in the fans' eyes, I guess he is one of their all-time greatest players, and it seems that he is ripping that to shreds, shall we say? Because personally, I think if one of our ex-legends, say someone, I guess you could compare him to someone like Drogba, I suppose, someone like that. Not obviously on the pitch wise, but you know, if Drogba came out and said those things about Dolphin, I'd be fuming. Well, especially if you're still at the club. I mean, there's a time and a place for it, and for me, I think it just feels like, one, it's a bit of a publicity stunt just to sort of, because it was clear from the summer that he didn't want to be at the club.
Yeah.
And he's obviously got a lot of pent up emotion inside him about the club and as to why he wasn't sold. We don't really know the ins and outs of why. But it seems that he is targeting Ten Hag in the interview, saying that he obviously feels let down that he's been sidelined for the majority of the season. But I mean, it's up to the manager who he plays. I mean, and with an attitude like that, you know, it's not.
Can you imagine? He obviously came to United. I don't know what year it was exactly he came, but around 2002, 2003, something like that. Can you imagine him pulling this when Alex Ferguson was in charge? He wouldn't.
Well, no, because
be United again. He'd never even turn up to training again. He'd be he'd be released from his contract. He would be gone already. I can't believe. Well, I can believe that he's got an ego that's so inflated that he thinks it's a good idea to do this. But like you say, any legend of any club, especially one who's currently at the club, to come out and say this about the club that you're playing for is ridiculous. The comments about Ten Hag, personally, I'm sure that there's some context that's going to come out about it because, like you say, we've not seen the whole thing. But to feel let down by Ten Hag, I don't really know what Ten Hag's actually done because he's got the stats to back it up that says when I've dropped you, we've won games, and when I play you, we don't. It's black and white, really. He dropped Ronaldo and United picked up 5 wins in a row. And why, as a manager, why would you then bring him back in? That didn't really make any sense to me. And I don't see where the club's really let him down, to be honest, unless it is, like you say, he wanted to move in the summer and they flat out refused to let him go. But if that is the case, he knew where United were when he joined them. It's not like he'd been there for 3 years, 4 years, suffering without trophies. He'd only been there a season and he knew how far behind United were to everybody else. I don't know what he expected. I don't think they did any better or worse than anyone thought. I think they were just, they were just being what we all thought that they were. It wasn't going to turn around overnight, so I'm not quite sure where the club have let him down. I mean, it's quite short-sighted of him to join and then 12 months later say that I want to leave because we're not winning trophies. Well, they haven't won trophies for a long time. This is not new. So I'm not too sure why. I don't know why he thought it was a good idea, but I'm not too sure why he stated the points that he had that have come out so far. But it'll be interesting to see what more he has to say.
It just feels now like that. For me, I don't think there's any way of going back now. I think come January, I'm fully expecting them to come to an agreement of his release. 6 months early. I mean, Man United could go the other way and punish him and not get rid of him, make him set his contract. I don't think that's going to help either club or player. I think from a Man United point of view, I think they need to put their foots down and say, look, you can't. I don't know why you've done this. Who advised you to do this, and I don't know. We won't know until we hear the full thing. But if he's going after individuals at the club as well, you got to think that he's not going to be well liked within the dressing room. But from the snippet of the interview I've seen anyway, he felt that he wasn't wanted there. So,
and we've said for weeks, haven't we? Well, even since last season, I think that Ronaldo's attitude's been holding United back, and I've seen on Twitter hundreds of United fans defending him all throughout his spell. Like last season, all right, he ended up as the top scorer, I think he was.
Well, he scored one more than Harry Kane in the league.
Yeah, so a lot of United fans defended him even then, and I haven't really seen many United fans defending him now. That's quite a big turnaround. If there's anyone that they would blindly defend, it would be him. But I haven't seen many, to be honest. So for him to actually annoy United fans, it's got to be something serious.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a wait and see as to how deep this interview goes. But like I said, I think there's no going back now. I think
no.
He'll be looking for a new club in January. But for me, it seems, from my point of view, that a lot of other big clubs are going to see this and think, well, do we really want him at our club if he's going to be doing this?
Who would take him in your, big leagues? I don't think anybody would.
He'll end up at Chelsea, don't worry, mate.
Maybe. I think, personally, he's got to go to the MLS now. Because
he'll be going to the MLS, Qatar, or one of the Saudi Arabia, sort of Middle East somewhere, maybe, just for that final sort of paycheck. But I think it's done. in this country now, and it seems such a shame because obviously if his first spell at Man United, he wrote himself into the history books and he made a name for himself, and he probably put himself up there with one of the greatest players that they ever had. I mean, even last season he was, he had a really good season last season when Man United, were poor. He was their go-to man for goals, and then obviously the new manager's come in. He's got his own ideas, obviously, but it's not worked out for Ronaldo. But I think the worst thing you can probably do is go and do an interview behind the club's back. I mean, remember Lukaku did it last season. I mean, he's nowhere near as well liked as what Ronaldo was at Man United, but I mean, it's a similar sort of pattern. I mean, even in the interview that Lukaku did, he was criticising the tactics of the manager, saying that he wasn't being played in the right sort of position. So
he just don't do it. I don't know why they think it's a good idea. Save all that until after your career, and then once your career is finished, do what you want. I mean, Frank Bonlahor was a Villa legend while he was playing for us. He never did an interview or anything until after his career, and then he's now working on TalkSport, and now all Villa fans hate him again. So, he's just, because he's so mouthy and he's just an idiot. But I'm glad he didn't do that while he was playing for us, because I'm sure he would have said something to upset someone, and this kind of thing would have happened. So, you would have thought he would have learnt by now. I mean, he's 37 now is Ronaldo, isn't he? So, you would have thought he's had a long enough career to know not to do something like this. But there we go.
So I think it's on like Talk TV, isn't it?
Yeah,
does everyone have access to that, or is it?
I don't have no idea. To be honest, I'll probably just rely on Twitter for the highlights of the interview. I don't want to listen to Piers Morgan, to be honest. So I'll wait for the edited versions to come out.
Right, what's enough of Ronaldo? He's got all our time.
Yeah.
He's had his time. But we'll move on to something a bit more actually even worse for me, to be honest with you. But where do we start?
What's going on, Chris?
I can't pinpoint what it is, but I've been doing some digging around sort of the last sort of results that we've had, and they just seem to be getting worse and worse. I mean, Saturday night against Newcastle, from the 97th minute to the 98th minute, we were actually the better team. And we actually looked like that we actually wanted to get something out of the game. Week before, middle of the week when we played Man City, it was a 50-50 game, to be honest with you. First half, we were probably the better team, had chances but didn't take them. Came out second half, Man City scored 2 goals within sort of 10 minutes and just kind of killed the game. Week before that, we play Arsenal at home. Probably the worst performance I've seen from Chelsea for a long time.
Could have been more that day.
Weren't interested. Didn't seem that bothered about it at all. Conceded the goal. Just didn't look like we were attacking at all. There was nothing going forward. We just kept picking the ball up. Same as Saturday against Newcastle. He played a front three against Newcastle of Brower in the middle, who is okay. He's just not had not enough experience at that sort of level. You have Mount and Gallagher either side. I mean, Gallagher's not a winger to start with, and every time Gallagher gets the ball, he just seems to lose it. He can't place a decent pass at the moment. And against Arsenal, it's just, again, there was no fight. Just lost as soon as we conceded. We didn't go straight at them. And if anything, we just sat back even more. And then the week before that, we lost 4-1 to Brighton.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say about that. It's just 4-1 and that isn't. But it just seems that for me, his tactics seem very, very easy to unwind if you're the opposition. We always play out from the back, and we're not very good at it. And I don't know why we do it, and I don't know why they keep doing it. I mean, the amount of times that the ball's been passed back to Mendy, and he within a second he's about to lose the ball, and he got caught out against Leeds doing that.
Need one of your keepers are really great with their feet, I would say.
No.
But that's why the Potter appointment kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because not necessarily that you've got defenders that can't play that way. I think there's an element of truth about Koulibaly not being able to play that way. But because you got rid of so many defenders, even though I know you wanted to keep Rudiger, but because so many central defenders left last season, it's always going to be difficult for the new guys coming in to get that link up to be able to play that way so quickly. I'm sure it'll come in time, but that's why it surprised me that you brought in a manager who's really championed that way of playing. Because if you wanted a short-term fix, that didn't seem...
Yeah.
But you did get a bit of a bounce when he came in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with any manager though, he comes in. I mean, his first game against Salzburg, they drew 0-0. It wasn't a great game particularly. But I think his first league game, I think we beat Wolves 3-0, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I look on paper, and at the time I thought getting rid of Tuchel and bringing in someone new was going to work, but I personally don't think it's worked. And I honestly, I think the games that Graham Potter has won, I think Tuchel would have won those games.
I think so.
Anyway, so I just don't see where the difference is. And I think at least under Tuchel there was an if we went behind, there was a plan to go forward straight away. Tuchel was very forward thinking. He was very sort of attack minded, play, sort of win it in midfield, play it around in midfield, move on. But where under Potter it seems to be play out from the back, pass it to one of the wing backs. The problem is without Chilwell and Reece James it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because you've got Azpilicueta and other. I mean, Lewis Hall's been playing there last couple of games. He's done well. He's actually been one of the better players, but Azpilicueta hasn't got the pace that Reece James has got, and he hasn't got the confidence on taking players on. So passing it to him, he ends up passing it back to Koulibaly, who then passes it back to Chalobah. Chalobah runs with it for 20, 25 yards, passes it to Jorginho. Jorginho turns around, can't see anything in front of him, turns around, passes back to Azpilicueta, and we're just stuck in that cycle.
Yeah.
There's no, and I don't know whether it's the forward players not coming back to help, or whether we generally just aren't getting in enough space. And we just seem to play back so much, even when we're behind. It just seems like we've got no options when it gets to like Azpilicueta and whoever the left back is. There just doesn't seem any options, but when we've got Reece James and Chilwell, who are sort of established at that wing-back role and have got pace and they can take players on, it works better.
Yeah. So, I haven't seen Cucurella have a good game yet. I mean, he's been away so far.
Yeah, he did have a couple good... When he first came in, he did have a couple good games. But I think it's trying to find out whether he is best playing at centre-back or whether he can play left wing back. I mean, personally, I think the players that they brought in at the back aren't like for like swaps, and they're not better versions of what we had.
No.
I mean, Rudiger alone is probably up the best defenders in the world at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And our best defender is Thiago Silva, and he's 38, and he's not going to be around for much longer.
Yeah.
You can't, when Thiago Silva plays, we look a lot more solid at the back. When you take him out, we look lost.
Yes.
Mistake after mistake.
One thing I did think as well, though, when Tuchel got let go, I'd seen you play a few times already, normally like in the Champions League and stuff. I didn't think that the players had given up at
No.
that point. I thought the players were still playing for him. And I always wonder what that does to a dressing room when a manager, all right, if you've had a bad run of results, but you can put it down to a number of things, but I don't think lack of effort was one of them. And I think the players liked Tuchel, and I just wonder what effect that had, getting rid of a manager that they probably liked and were still trying for, to bring someone else in. It's got to be difficult for that person coming in then,
I
because
agree.
you've got around the dressing room. And I don't think he's quite managed to do it. In the last few games I've seen Chelsea play, that kind of lack of effort is now showing through. I think the World Cup break has come at a very good time for you, because I know most of your players are going to the World Cup, but the ones that aren't, you will have a chance to sit down over the next month or two and give them a bit of a mini pre-season and stuff and get them tactically back into shape. But yeah, it's worrying for you Chelsea fans at the moment. I think it really is, because you've not really seen, like, you just don't look like you're in a game.
No. It's one of those things. Is how far do you let it keep it going like this? I know we've got the break now, but when we come back from the break, I mean, our next two games are Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. Now,
Two winnable games.
Without a doubt, we should be getting 6 points there. I mean, it might depend on how people come back from the World Cup, but I would have thought, if you think, say 15 of your players are going off to play in the World Cup, you'd expect 7 or 8 of them to come back just after the group stage. So, I don't think there's going to be any excuses there. I mean, the only thing after that is we've got Man City in the league and then Liverpool, pretty much back to back, I think, in between probably FA Cup. But
I mean,
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, so I'm looking at the table now, so you're 8th in the table, level on points with Brighton. So the season for you, I guess, you were looking at top 4, really. I don't think you were going for the title. Mm-hmm. So you're currently 8 points off top 4. At what point do you think you say, well, we're not going to get it, so let's just stick it out with Potter for the rest of the season? We finish where we finish, and then we give him a go next season? Or do the owners say, we're going to lose a lot of traction on top 4, we need to get rid of him now? I mean, he's only been there, sort of like 7-8 games, but do we get rid of him now and bring someone in who might close that gap? I don't know how many points the difference has to be before you decide either way.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I think it's even last time we didn't qualify for Europe, and that was when Mourinho was there and he got sacked, and we ended up finishing like 9th or 10th, I think it was.
Mm.
We won the Europa League, I think it was that season. So we automatically went into the Champions League. So, Do
you think as long as you're in the Champions League, he stays in the job?
I think he has to win something. I think if he doesn't, I think it'll be done on league position. If he doesn't get into Europe next season, I think he could probably get away with getting into the Europa League. I think so. I think if he manages to get top 6, I think they'll stick with him. But I think anything less than that, I don't see them continuing it, to be honest with you. Because what's the point? I mean, they're not playing well at the moment, and they were playing okay under Tuchel. We had like one bad result in the Champions League. We had a few league games where we looked poor, but we still come out with a draw. And I just look back and I think Tuchel I think we'd be in the top, if he was still there, we'd be in and around that top 5, I think. Because like you said, the players were playing for him, that they weren't, it's just, we had a bad run of results, but at least we were trying. I mean, he got the best out of Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
And that's been Kai Havertz's problem ever since he joined Chelsea. he's been so hit and miss, but under Tuchel he actually looked like an established centre forward. He actually looked okay. And you got to think like Tuchel was the main reason that Aubameyang came to the club.
Yeah.
And ever since Potter's come in, I mean, Aubameyang scored a few goals, but he's been on the bench for the last 2-3 games.
Yeah.
And I understand that he's got youth players there that he wants to, give experiences like Lewis Hall or like Bro. I mean, on Saturday we had 6 academy players in the starting 11.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of for Chelsea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a fairly big squad, but I think we've got a bit of Liverpool syndrome from 4 or 5 years ago where they had a really good, on paper their starting 11 was really good, but the bench was it lacks a lot, the bench. I mean, when you need a goal and you're looking at someone like Ziyech coming on, you just know that he's not going to do anything because he hasn't done anything for Chelsea for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
Pulisic is hit and miss. He can come on sometimes and play well, and then sometimes he can come on and he's terrible. So I don't know. I don't want to sort of be on the side of just get rid of him because I think he does deserve a chance, Graham Potter, and I just think he needs to find his best 11 because at the moment I think he's chopping and changing too much. Look, we've got injuries in defence. Fofana's out. Obviously, Reece James is out. Chilwell's out. I mean, you're probably looking at 3 out of 4 of our starting defence is out at the moment, but we should have adequate cover.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think they're just going to have to ride with it, and Champions League, they got Dortmund. I wouldn't be so confident at the moment of beating them over 2 legs, to be fair. So,
first draw though, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse. But we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, if he gets through that and we get into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, I mean, the Champions League is such a weird competition as well. I mean, last season's Champions League was probably one of the best ones that we've had for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Even though we got knocked out of it, sort of, the Real Madrid. I mean, probably the second leg against Real Madrid when we went 3-0 up. It's really the best I've seen us play for years.
Yeah.
So
great game.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my rant over. I mean, just wait and see what happens when they come back from the World Cup. See what's what, and then I'm assuming he's going to be given some sort of money in January to do something, but I don't think he can be seen to be buying more defenders because we've just spent a huge amount of money on defenders, like 160, 170 million just on defenders alone. So, Fofana should be back. But one thing I haven't mentioned is that we do miss N'Golo Kante.
Oh yeah, he's a big
and there just doesn't seem to be a timeline of when he's actually going to be fit again, which is a shame. I think we do miss him. We miss that sort of someone who can sit in front of that defence. So, yeah, I think we do miss Kante. But yeah, anyway, we'll move on to I guess it's our last World Cup segment before the World Cup starts. So, we're going to quickly just go through how far we think that England can get. It gets very sort of complicated after the group stage because I guess we don't know who's going to win groups and who's going to be runners up. But I've gone on what I personally think who's going to win the group and who's going to be runners up. So I've got England as winning the group, and I assume you probably have as well.
Yeah, I have.
So I think in the round of 16 that they'll get Senegal.
Interesting.
I think they can beat Senegal.
I've gone for a similar Yeah, I think it's going to be Senegal or Netherlands.
But after that,
I mean, like the other, you think that Senegal might be the sort of dark horses to do well in the tournament. I don't know whether they're going to top that group or not. Whether it's going to be Holland.
I think Holland will top it. I think, and then Senegal comes second.
They're two beatable teams for us, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's not that it gets tricky.
No.
So if you work your way back through winner of game 52 or whatever it was, and winner of Group D versus runner of Group C, ignore all that. It's France. France is the answer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
France is the answer. So
they're the best team in that side of the draw.
Yeah. So France is that team. So I think France will play either Argentina or Mexico in the round of 16, if I've worked it out correctly. So yes. I think they should get through that, and then they set up a game against England. Now, I think this is as far as it goes from an England point of view. I think this France team I think they are the best team in the world. They have so much cover in that team if someone gets injured. Unlike England, I think if England were to lose a key player, Harry Kane, France have adequate. If Mbappe got injured, they don't have someone who is the same skill level as Mbappe, but they definitely have goal scorers within that team.
Dembele, Nkunku, Coman.
Their team is ridiculous. They could have, I reckon France could have a B team and a C team.
Yeah.
And I think B team and C team would still get through group stage, which is ridiculous.
Just to show you, to demonstrate that these are the people that haven't made the World Cup squad for France due to either injury or not being picked. You've got Kimpembe from PSG, who was injured. Luca Digne is injured at left back. Kurt Zouma hasn't been picked this time around, but he had a run of games for France quite recently. Kante is injured. Pogba is injured. Boubacar Kamara, obviously for Villa as well, is injured. Ben Yedder hasn't been picked this time around, but he had a run in the side. Yeah, there's depth.
It's
serious depth. And then even in the squad, like you say, if Mbappe's out injured, there's that. There's any number of people that can come in and play. Their weak area, I will say, if they do have a weak spot, it's midfield.
Midfield, yeah.
Because with Pogba and Kante being out, I would say that they are the two best midfielders. In centre midfield, they've got a choice of Camavinga, obviously wonder kid at Real Madrid, but he's only played 4 games for France. Rabiot, who I've never really seen what everybody else.
He is good. Rabiot is good.
They've got Youssouf Fofana, who I've never seen.
He plays in the French league, doesn't he?
He plays for so he's only had 2 caps.
Okay, yeah.
Tchouaméni for Real Madrid, fair enough. But then the 2 that interested me in particular are Matteo Guendouzi, formerly of Arsenal, and certain Jordan Veretout, formerly of Aston Villa, has managed to get into the France squad somehow. So I think if there is a weak area, it's that. But I'm actually looking at their list of players. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players. Okay, one of them's Areola in goal, but 12 players that have played less than 10 games for France. So there is a bit of inexperience in there, and there's even a few like Koundé's only played 12 games, Tchouaméni's only played 14 games. So yeah, I still fancy them purely how strong their attacking lineup is, and in defence, they've got Koundé, Varane, Pavard, both Hernandez's are quite good as well. So and William Saliba's made it in as well for Arsenal, and he's been out. So I still fancy them, to be honest.
I think if England do somehow get through, I think I've worked out that it's Belgium. I think in the semi-final potentially, which to be fair is probably an easier game than what the France one would be. But
Yeah,
it's just the way the draw is, isn't it? And there's not a lot you can really do about it. So I think getting to the quarters. It's hard really because when in the last sort of two tournaments you've got to a final and to a semi-final, to say that you potentially are looking at quarterfinals, it seems like a step back, but I guess it's just the luck of the draw really, isn't it? How the draw's made. I mean, any other given sort of World Cup you could, I think they should be aiming for the semi. If I don't get me wrong, I think they should be aiming to get to the semi-finals. But I think when you look at it realistically, I think that game against France is going to be incredibly hard to get through.
It will.
But you never know.
You never know, and I think our only hope will be probably. I mean, I'm just looking at the fixtures now. France-Denmark on the 26th of November. I think that's the only game that France might struggle in. The other two teams in their group, Australia and Tunisia, I can't see them having too much of a problem there. But Denmark, as they're my dark horse, I'm going to say you never know. You know, it could be one of those games, and every team gets them in a World Cup where they just don't turn up. And there are surprises in every single World Cup. So you never know. And you also never know. We've said that Argentina and Mexico are going to qualify from the other group. Poland's in that group. You don't. They've got Lewandowski, who's the best striker in the world. On their day, if they can feed him the right service, then they could beat either of those teams. To be honest, Argentina, okay, Messi, but he's getting on a little bit now. But outside of Messi, it's not really that much. And what they do have is
they've got McAllister, mate.
They have, yeah. They picked him over dear. They've got Emi Martinez in goal though still, so I'll let them off. But you never know. They're the kind of games at World Cups where Argentinian fans will go in there expecting to walk that group and get 3 wins. But we all know it's not that easy. So yeah, it'll be the odd draw or something against a lesser team. You know, it'll be a bigger team turning up. All it takes is one of those teams to get knocked out early. I mean, we all fancied Germany in the last World Cup, didn't we? And they ended up bottom of their group, which had South Korea in and a couple of other teams that I can't remember now, but they weren't fancied to get knocked out. So you never know. France might surprise us all and finish bottom with no wins.
Right, so that's it for Talking Points this week, and it for part 1. We'll be back in part 2 with a quiz, Who Am I and Some Wonders of White, so we'll be back in part 2. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode, and we've got some Wonders of White coming up. So Liam, we do have a Wonders of White. One of them is Aston Villa related as well.
Excellent.
Not in a good way though. First one is a man that is not going to the World Cup. So Ivan Toney has scored 2+ goals on 3 occasions in the Premier League this season. Only Erling Haaland has done so in more different matches. So he scored 3 against Leeds, 2 against Brighton, and 2 at the weekend against Man City.
Should have been on the plane.
And he's not on the plane.
No.
Okay. Newcastle will be in the Premier League's top 3 at Christmas for the first time since the 2001-2002 season, when they were top of the table on Christmas Day.
Wow.
They later went on to finish 4th that season.
I didn't realise they were top that recently.
Yeah. This is brilliant, this one. Christian Eriksen is the first Danish player to score for Manchester United since Peter Schmeichel versus FC Rotor Volgograd in the UEFA Cup in September 1995.
Oh, fantastic. Damn it. I mean, that's a shame that's been broken, actually.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stat you want to go on forever.
Yeah. I was surprised that was Eriksen's first goal for Man United, if I was honest. I didn't realise that was his first goal, but yeah. Never mind. Last but not least, aged 18 years and 135 days, Alejandro Garnacho is the youngest player to score a 90th minute winner in the Premier League since, do you know since when?
Yeah, I do. Another Man United player, isn't it?
Federico Macheda against Aston Villa, also for Manchester United in April 2009.
Yeah.
He was 17 years old and 226 days old.
Yeah, and we were 2-0 up in that game as well.
Yeah. I can remember because the commentator screamed, didn't he? Macheda!
And
Still playing, Macheda.
Yeah,
if anyone actually didn't know that, he is actually still playing. I'm not sure where, but he is.
Yeah, I was very depressed watching that game. 2-0 up at Old Trafford and then ended up losing it again. It seems like it always happens against me. I've got a stat for you this week, Chris.
Go on then. I'll let you do it.
So, it's the sort of last one before the break. So I thought I saw this at the weekend and I didn't know whether you were going to include it. So James Milner came on for his 600th Premier League appearance this weekend. James Milner and Johnny Haynes both played for the same manager, Sir Bobby Robson, but Johnny Haynes was born in 1934.
Blimey.
There you go. Mad.
Milner is 80 years old.
Yeah. So, yes, Johnny Haynes born in 1934 and James Milner born in 1980-something, and they both played for Bobby Robson, which, just shows you the longevity of his career.
Right. Quiz time.
Yes, quiz time. So, obviously, this is the last podcast before the World Cup. So, I've just gone for back to the classic 10 questions. But we're going to have one question from each of the last 10 World Cups. So, we're going to start in 1982.
Oh, blimey.
And then we're going to gradually work our way up to modern day. So, we're going to end with the 2018 World Cup.
Okay.
So I'll start at question 1. I think this is a bit of a mixed quiz this week.
Okay.
I have a feeling you're going to score quite highly there. I
reckon skill level medium.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a good 7 or 8 though. I reckon.
I'm
hoping what's difficult you can guess. So, and there is a bonus point question as well. But Question number 1. The 1982 World Cup was held in Spain and it was won by Italy. But what stadium hosted the final where Italy beat Germany 3-1? The clue is it was held in Spain, Chris.
Yes, I mean, it's a trick question.
It's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Bugger. Funny enough, I don't actually remember a lot from that World Cup.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, oh man, I will just, I'm gonna go with the capital, which means I'm gonna go for the Bernabeu.
Correct. It was indeed at the Bernabeu. Yes, it was going to be that or the Nou Camp, wasn't it? So
that was my deliberate. I wasn't thinking about anything else other than those two.
It had to be one of those two. So yeah, well done. Good start. So question number 2: Who won the Golden Boot in the 1986 World Cup, scoring 6 goals at the tournament?
What year? 86.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I thought you'd be on this one, Chris, to be honest.
I want to say match of the day, matey, but no, it wasn't. I'll say Gary Lineker, but I'm not sure if it was the World Cup after.
You are correct. It is indeed Gary
What was
Lineker.
86 too?
1986 was Mexico.
Mexico.
It was Maradona, hand of God.
Yeah, okay.
Wondered.
And not, he was,
Okay.
well, yeah.
So,
Go on then.
correct, 2 out of 2 so far. Question number 3, so we're moving to Italia 90.
Yeah.
England suffered heartbreak in the semi-finals of the tournament, but who did we lose to in the third place playoff?
Oh my god, no one knows that. Everyone just knows the rest.
We've all put it to the back of our minds.
Oh.
I couldn't ask you who cried, we all know that one.
Right. I think I could have even told you who actually missed the penalty as well, I think. That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah, I did think, I thought it was too easy.
I have no idea. I literally have no idea. I'll just say Germany.
The team that won it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for God's sake.
I'll give you another go.
I have no idea. Spain.
Incorrect. The clue was in the question.
Oh, it was Italy, was it?
Italy. Indeed it was, yeah. Came third at their own World Cup. Question number 4. This is one you either know or you don't. What pop star missed a penalty in the opening ceremony of the 1994 World Cup in the USA?
I know, because she missed, didn't she? And the goals just like separated.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I can't think who it is. Her name is on. Janet Jackson is just stuck in my head, and it's not her, is it?
It's not Janet Jackson.
No. Oh my god, what's her name? It's gone from my head.
Give up?
Yeah.
Diana Ross.
Terrible technique, by the way. Terrible technique for penalty.
She should have Panenka'd it, to be honest. But yeah, maybe next time. Who knows? She might get to do another opening ceremony. They might wheel her out in Qatar. She might get a chance to make amends. Question number 5. Scotland were in the 1998 World Cup in a tough group against Brazil, Norway and Morocco. Which of these teams did they pick up their only point of the tournament against? It's multiple choice. Brazil, Norway or Morocco.
Oh my god, I have no idea. Norway.
Correct. Well done.
Oh,
that was a stab in the dark.
It was a complete guess.
Yeah, they drew 1-1 against Norway, and it was their only point of the tournament. Question number 6. We're in 2002 now, so that was Japan and Korea. The 2002 World Cup saw the fastest ever goal in a World Cup, which was scored in the third place playoff. Which country scored it? And I'll give you a bonus point if you can guess the player.
2002, yeah?
Yeah, in the third place playoff, it was a goal after 10.8 seconds, I think.
10 seconds? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Which country scored it? And a bonus point if you can tell me who scored it.
So, well, I can rule out because the final was Germany versus Brazil. So, I know that wasn't it. Now, we spoke about this the other day.
We did, and it's why I included this question.
So I know the game was Turkey versus South Korea, which Turkey won. But I guess that doesn't necessarily mean that it was Turkey that actually, well, I guess this is just going to have to be a stab in the dark, isn't it, I guess? I mean...
You've got the 2 right teams for the game.
Yeah, so I will say... I'll go with Turkey, because I'm not going to lie, I don't know any South Korea players from back then.
Correct.
So I'll go with Turkey, but this is...
And for the bonus point, can you tell me who scored?
I will just say Emre, because he's the only Turkish player I can think of right this second, but it
Well,
was probably one of the more common ones.
well done for remembering a Turkey player from back then, because the only one that I can remember is the man who actually scored it, which is Hakan Şükür. Yeah, who ended up playing for Blackburn, I think, at some point. And
he was an absolute flop when he at Blackburn, from
he,
what I remember.
he was a machine everywhere else, but failed miserably at Blackburn Rovers.
He was Galatasaray when he his main clubs. I'm pretty sure he was there.
So yeah, he scored a lot of goals in the
So I
Turkey.
got a point, didn't I?
You got a point for Turkey, but no bonus point for the goal scorer, unfortunately. We're getting even more modern now. 2006, I'm sure you can remember that a bit better than 1982. So 2006, so Italy won the World Cup, beating 10-man France on penalties. And the final was known for Zinedine Zidane headbutting which Italian player?
Marazzi.
Correct.
Did he say something about his mum or something? Because they never really said what it was, did it?
No.
I was on holiday. I was on holiday watching that game.
An insult for his mum or sister or something like that.
Yeah. I was away. I wasn't. I can't remember where I was now. I don't remember where I was. I wasn't in this country, I don't think, when I saw the final. And I remember Zidane just turned around and headbutted someone. I was thinking, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That was his last ever. That was his last game for France, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to go out.
And I remember as well at the time watching it, and the commentators being like, "I think he might get sent off for this." It's like, no shit. Yeah, he probably will. He probably will too. You can't do that.
So Italy had Matteo Lippi. Was he their manager then?
Yes, I think so.
Matteo Lippi, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, a good tournament, that one. Question number 8. So you're actually doing quite well. I think you've only got 2 wrong so far. Question number 8. Which Uruguayan player was joint top scorer and player of the tournament in South Africa 2010?
Wow. Now, I mean, one name springs to mind straight away, but this could be one of two. But I don't know if. So I'm going to say 2 names that I've got on my mind: Diego Forlan, Edison Cavani. 2010. Oh, this is going to kill me if I get this wrong, because I think it's one of those 2. I'm going to go with Forlan.
Correct. It is Diego Forlan. Well done.
He was fairly old then. I
think
he'd had his spell at Man United by then, I think, hadn't he?
Oh yeah. I think he'd been there and gone quite a while.
I thought you might think I was going to say Suarez, but I think that was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you said it's one of 2, and I thought.
Cavani would have been in and around there, I know, but I just vaguely remember Forlan having a good World Cup.
He did. Yeah, he scored 5 goals.
When he was old.
And won player of the tournament. Yeah, so he obviously did have a very good World Cup. Nearly at the end, 2 more to go. Question number 9. The 2014 World Cup saw Brazil thrashed in their own backyard 7-1 by Germany. Who scored Brazil's only goal in that game?
Oscar.
It was indeed, yes. Former Chelsea player. I think he was at Chelsea at that point. Yeah.
There were 3 Chelsea players playing for Brazil that day as well: David Luiz, Ramirez, and Oscar.
That's probably the worst. Worst Brazilian performance, but probably the worst performance I've ever seen on a football.
No, it was like 4. It was like 4 or 5-0 at half time. I remember watching it, and then at half time going back to like Gary Lineker and stuff, and they were just like, I can't believe what's happening here.
Silence.
I mean, in Brazil as well, in their like national stadium, like unbelievable. But to be fair, Germany that was probably peak Germany. That
Yeah.
was. I mean, Closer was still playing then, wasn't he? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he was indeed. They were a good side at that World Cup.
yeah.
Your last one, because you gave me a quiz on the 2018 World Cup in Russia.
Yeah.
So I've tried to make this one a little bit more difficult because I know you've researched it recently. So
Go on then.
aside from Russia, who were the lowest ranked team entering the tournament? And I can, because that is quite difficult, but I can give you some options.
Options as in names or clues.
Options as in names.
Yeah, I'll go for the options. I've got I've got one in my head, but begins with an S.
Let me just. Maybe.
Saudi Arabia.
It is Saudi Arabia. Yes, correct. They were ranked 63rd in the tournament. So
Yeah.
Russia were ranked 65th, but obviously you don't play in like the 4 years leading up to the World Cup, so that's why they were ranked so low. So it doesn't really count for them. But yeah, Saudi Arabia were ranked 63rd, and South Korea were ranked 62nd.
Oh right. So I would have said S either way, and I got it wrong. No,
Yeah.
I think I do. I think I saw that actually last week when I was having a little look.
Yeah. Interestingly, not Panama, which I would have thought it would have been. So they were ranked 49.
Didn't think about
Yeah. And they were bad. But, yeah. Well, so, let me just add up the scores.
that. Should have been 7 or 8, I think.
1, 2, didn't get that one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10. Well done.
Good. There you go. Right. Now, who am I? Well, you know who I am, but obviously that's not what I'm asking. I am going to I can't give you where they're at now.
Cool. So they're still playing, that's good.
Yeah. So, started at Northampton.
Right.
Moved to Newcastle. Then Barnsley. Then Shrewsbury. Scunthorpe. Wigan.
Oh, this is a glorious career.
Back to Scunthorpe. Peterborough. And where they are now.
Okay. Northampton at the start to Newcastle was an interesting one. And then, were any of them loans or were they all like full time?
I can give you the loans if you want.
Oh, was there more?
It was on my list of, yep. So, obviously I gave you Northampton, Newcastle, Barnsley, Shrewsbury, Scunthorpe, Wigan, Scunthorpe, Peterborough, and then where they are now. So the loans were Barnsley, Shrewsbury, Scunthorpe, Wigan, Scunthorpe.
Right, so he went on loan from Newcastle.
Correct.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so now I'm narrowing it down because I think, because Peterborough always had a knack of finding a striker and then selling them on for a lot of money.
Maybe.
And
might be a striker.
Yeah, they did have a knack of doing it. They did it with Dwight Gale, but I think they did it with Ivan Toney as well. So I think it's Ivan Toney.
I had to put him in at least a squad.
Yeah, he's got to be, hasn't he?
Can I just say, he has scored 53 goals in 92 games for Bradford.
he's a good striker.
I mean, I just don't know what else he had to do. I mean, it never worked out for him at Newcastle. He did play 2 games for them in the 3 years that he was there, but it was, and to be fair, the loans that he had, he only scored probably 20 goals in about 50, 60 games. But then it was, like you said, at Peterborough, where he sort of made his mark, scored 40 goals in 76 games for them in 2 years. But yeah, no, I thought we should give him a bit of recognition, because he's literally the one player that I thought would be on that plane, and quite shocked really that he wasn't. I'm not saying he shouldn't have taken Callum Wilson.
No, I think he should have both of them.
But I was just a bit surprised that he wasn't now. He could have gone in front of pretty much the majority of the forward players that they've put in there. But
yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm looking at his record now, Tony, so I can kind of understand. He broke the championship goal scoring record, which is obviously a great achievement, but fair enough, not to get you in the England team.
Yeah.
Come up and in your first season in the Premier League to be averaging, nearly 1 in 2 almost. He got 14 goals last season in 30 odd games, and then this season he's just taken that to a whole new level, hasn't he? I mean, 10 goals so far, 11 in all competitions. He's showing the consistency that I think he's been lacking, or he had been lacking in his obviously younger days. So, I don't really understand why he's not been included. Wilson is so injury prone, and if something was to happen to him, we're stuck with Kane and no one else. There's no plan B. So, I was quite surprised that he wasn't included. I was surprised he didn't go with 3 out and out strikers, whether it would be Tony or Abraham. But yeah, he didn't. So
yeah, cool. Well, that's it. Well, for now, anyway. I mean, this is the last podcast until the new year.
Yeah.
Which is true. I'm not going to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, because that's just ridiculous.
Too far out.
But yeah, so obviously with the World Cup being on, there's not a huge amount for us to discuss. And I mean, we really would only be talking about England anyway. So, I mean, there isn't really much point, I don't think, in us doing any more now, until the new year. So, yeah. Anything else to add, Liam?
It's coming home. That's all I'm saying.
In the quarters, or?
Have faith, Chris. Come on.
I mean, it's strange to think that this time next week they would have already played Iran.
Yeah.
And we'd have already picked up that point that we needed. I mean, you never know. Some of the England group games in the World Cup have been absolutely appalling these last few years. So, but they should be getting through. And then hopefully by the time that they play Wales, should be there.
Should be.
So, yeah. But yeah, no.
When we get 2 0-0s against Iran and USA and manage to scrape a 1-0 win against Wales to sneak through in second or something.
In like the 87th minute.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we go out in the round of 16. But let's have faith. Come on, let's do this.
Let's have some faith. So yeah, so we will be back in the new year, but I'll still be putting stuff on Twitter and stuff and on Facebook, during the World Cup. So we'll still be sort of active on there as well. But we will see you all in the new year.